Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Al. It is going to be week 8. Finally, I can't believe that we're almost halfway through the NFL season, but we're going to go through and do something that we've been doing on stream, but I have not exported to YouTube or Facebook, and we're going to do a first look at lineups. Now, do not think that this is my final pass at these, right? This is not some lineup that you should just kind of plug in. This is my first look at salaries. I have not concentrate on this. I've done absolutely no research yet for the week, but we're going to go through the lineups and we're going to break down position by position very quickly to kind of look at where we want to be this week, and we'll talk about the typical lineup construction that we're going to do. So if you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, let's see how many likes we can get on this video. If you would be so kind on Facebook to like the page and to share the video so we can get some more of your friends to jump in here to the stream on twitch.tv. That would be awesome. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that very, very much. So let's get right to it. Starting at quarterback, if you are new to the show, you might say, hey, I really want to roster Tom Brady, or Dak Prescott's awesome, or Carson Wentz has got a really good matchup against San Francisco, who plays very, very fast and has 3 very, very bad cornerbacks, so the wide receivers on Philly should be just fine, but I want to pay down. I think Wentz is great. I think he's going to be a fantastic GPP play, and he's going to be somebody that I'm going to want to own. But unless there is massive value that opens up on this slate, he's not really going to be somebody that I'm going to look to. So I want to pay usually in the low fives, you know, 4,500 to 5,500 for a quarterback. I'm willing to come up to a little bit more expensive quarterback. Maybe somebody like Kirk Cousins, who's got a good matchup. Maybe Phillip Rivers, who, if you look at the entire season for New England, they've been a very poor defense. They've allowed 100 yards passing in most of their games. Or sorry, 300 yards passing in most of their games, with the exception of the Sunday Night Football game against Atlanta in Week 7, where they didn't allow anything until really late in the game. But their defense has been trending much, much better. And if I can look up the Patriots, I'll show you in a game-by-game situation what I'm getting at. Points against, right? Right here. 42, 20, 27, 33, 14, 17, 7. Bill Belichick seems to be figuring out what he needs to do with this defense. Now, mind you, these couple of weeks here, as the point totals came down, they still allowed a ton of passing yards, which is something we have to look to. But holding Atlanta to 223 yards passing, to me, is a little bit shocking, and a little bit of a an alarm goes off for me, where while I like Phillip Rivers this week, I'm not yet convinced that he's a plug-and-play. I'm going to have to dig into some of the metrics as the week goes on, preparing for my article that I write on Wednesday that comes out on ESPN every Thursday, the Best Buys article, to see how much I really am into Phillip Rivers this week. So we'll decide that as the week goes on. Tyrod Taylor's prices come up against Oakland. I still think he's somewhat viable, 5,900. Dalton against Indy, also interesting. Dalton's just runs so hot and cold, right? Like, so hot and cold. But the cure for all that ails you is this Indy pass defense. They allow more deep passes and more deep completions than any other team in the league. He's going to be solid this week. Josh McCown, 3 straight games with multiple touchdowns. Are we buying on Josh McCown yet? Like, are we okay with this? I mean, I'm not really expecting 25 fantasy points again, but we don't need 25 fantasy points at 5,600. We're looking for like 16. He averages 16. If he can just have an average game, he'll pay that off for cash games. I don't know if there's a ton of tournament upside there, but at home against Atlanta, they do tend to mute wide receivers a little bit. It's not like he has the best wide receivers anyway. He can get Robbie Anderson deep. He goes to the tight end and to the running backs a lot, and that fits very well against Atlanta's defense. Beathard, 5,100. Hoyer, no. Anybody down here? Trubisky, like, people are going to fall for this. Oh, the Bears won a game. Trubisky's great. Trubisky threw the ball 7 times. He threw it 16 times the week before. They are not going to let this kid throw the ball. And one of the touchdowns from the week before was a running back pass. So not really all that interested in that. So early on, I like Rivers, but I'm not going to decide yet on him. So let's, for 600 cheaper, let's just plug Andy Dalton into a dummy lineup. Right? Running backs, all the way at the top. Ezekiel Elliott, if he plays, I think he's fine. I think we can go there if we want to. Clippers. I do that every time. Los Angeles Chargers. They priced up McCoy, right? $1,300 jump from week to week. Against Chicago, Ingram. Ton of volume here to be had and usage in the passing game at home. I think he's interesting at 7,500. Kamara, like we talked about. I don't think he tops 10 carries in a game. I think he's going to be consistent with these types of numbers, right? This was the outlier, 10 catches on 10 targets. This was the low end. You know, I think he's going to be around here. They're throwing like 10, they're getting like 10 catches from their backs week in and week out. And it's going to be split between Ingram and Kamara, so I think that he finds in that range. And at 6,000 is interesting, but not thrilling. Chris Thompson, if he's the starter again and gets this type of volume, if he gets 12 to 16 carries with his passing game work, I think that he's fine at 5,800, or at least interesting to me. I don't know that I want Blunt. Bilal Powell's interesting, but I would need an injury. I would require an injury to Forte or something like that. Dion Lewis, since Gillislee fumbled, they've been giving a lot more work to Dion Lewis. I think he's interesting for GPP at 4,600. 13 carries, 11 carries. He also can catch the ball out of the backfield, obviously, but it's not been utilized in that role. That's still James White almost exclusively. Gillislee needs touchdowns. Sammy Pirine. Not interested. We've talked about that before. I'm not a fan of Pirine. I mean, what if we just stack volume with this, right? Somebody said Mixon. I don't want an onslaught, I don't think. And now you've got a rookie running back with a head coach who does not like rookies, and the rookie running back is getting mouthy. You know? Like he's getting more volume, but he wasn't happy with the volume that he's getting. He's 4,700 though. Right? Like he's just not happy, and he's gonna get. He's talking post game. I need to see how that develops as the week goes on. Like he's got a coach that does not like to play rookies. I mean, we could do this, but I want to play running backs from the same game. Like we could do that, and we could do that. Tight end. Let's do that. We'll do wide receivers last. Okay, I'm just gonna plug in like a 3K defense, right? So like there, 3K defense. I didn't even look at who it is. I don't care. Right? So like, don't say, oh, you said play the Bills. I don't care. I really don't care about tight end, or really don't care about defense right now. I just want a round 3K to go from there. So we're not going to pay up in cash games for a tight end. Gronkowski, Ertz, meh. Seth Jenkins is a thing every week. Hunter Henry, becoming a thing every week, 3 straight weeks, double-digit points. Still don't want to pay up at tight end. Jordan Reed, interesting. Is there a cheap volume guy that we can target? How about Jared Cook? People still want to avoid Jared Cook. Like all the time. They just want to not play him. Zach Miller? Not enough time. He threw the ball 7 times. He threw it 3 times to Zach Miller. Out of every 7 throws that he makes, 3 of them go to Zach Miller. That's amazing. Not amazing. We may have to pay up a little bit. O.J. Howard. Okay, this can't continue, right? I mean, I would love it if this continued. Six targets is awesome. But, like, his touchdown against the Giants, nobody guarded him. His touchdown against Buffalo, nobody guarded him. Like, literally nobody within 35 yards of O.J. Howard on either one of those plays. The man is like 6'6", 275 pounds. He can't be invisible on a field. How is that possible? How is that at all possible? Jacoby Rank says that in the chat. Says that Doyle's the play at 3,500. Good volume. 7, 11, 7. I'm not against that. Just throw them in there. Okay, that leaves us with an average of 5,100 for our wide receivers. Is there a value wide receiver on the board that we can look at real quick? I'm not buying on LaFell. I know that the volume's been there for 2 weeks. I know he scored a touchdown this week. He's still Brandon LaFell. I'm not buying. No. Chat. Donte Moncrief, super cheap, but not a lot of volume. People are going to be off Crabtree. I don't disagree with that. Nobody ever plays Crabtree. Everybody just wants... Are people going to play Amari Cooper is more the question. Back to J-Matt. I need to know about his hand. I really think the hand was a problem. What are Buffalo's pass catchers? Where are they? Like, look at this. 4 targets. 3 targets. 9 targets, caught 2 of them. He's been a big disappointment. 3 targets. They just, no, they don't go to anybody. Like, they don't go to anybody in particular. Ginnigan. I mean, if Snead is out, then I definitely think Ginn is in play. Where's New Orleans? There. So, if Snead is 100% out, I think Coleman at 3,500 is interesting. Doesn't get a ton of targets, but I think he's somewhat viable, at least for GPP. Ginn getting a good amount of volume, but do we want to stack up 2 guys from that team? Especially for the price. Yeah, they're playing Mike Williams more. Williams is eating into Gazelle's play. Will Fuller, ridiculously priced. Hey, 5 touchdowns on 8 catches? And y'all think that's sustainable? People think that's sustainable. No, because now he's got somebody to throw the ball deep to him. So, like, that's his best skill. And so now he's catching all those touchdowns where before he wasn't. So it's totally going to keep up. He's going to catch a touchdown 5 times for every 8 times he catches the ball. Totally sustainable moving forward, man. Not sustainable at all. Way too high priced. Has to catch a 50-yard touchdown. What'd you say, Benjamin? Somebody in the chat shouted out Travis Benjamin. Where's he at? There's like no games on this slate. 3,900. 1 target. I'm not buying for 1 target. 2 targets. Here's somebody that I would like to buy on. And we're getting him at a discount. I mean, he had the discount for they lower prices against Denver's pass D to try and get you to play them, right? That's just a natural thing that DK does. It's almost like when you play in Coors Field, your price goes up. So we're getting him at a discount from here, where he was against Oakland, against New England, who has trouble guarding the slot. I think he's interesting at least because, as I said, it's really tough to predict the wide receivers this year for whatever reason. No matter what projections you're using, it's been very tough to project. But here's the guy that I really want, right? Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon Jeffrey has had ridiculous cornerback matchups all year. Washington, Norman, KC, Peters, New York Giants, Jenkins, Clippers. Again, that's twice. LAC means Clippers to me, guys. I'm sorry. Tough cornerbacks there. Patrick Peterson here. Here, he finally got 10 targets against Carolina. I think that this is going to be more the norm for him, and all those air yards that he's seeing are going to come in. We're going to start cashing in on those air yards with Alshon Jeffrey sooner rather than later. But now we need to find at least 1 cheap wide receiver. We have 8.8K. That means if we want a 3,500 guy, the most we can afford is a 5,300 guy. No, I'm not playing Will Fuller. Sanu's getting a bunch of looks. He's interesting. Ginn Jr. for touchdown upside. Bunch of looks. Gabriel never. Is Crowder like... What's going on with them? What is wrong with them? Now, mind you, I stuffed in a lot of salary at running back. Like this, as a first look... What about Robbie? I'm never expecting this 12. Deshaun gets targets. That's true. Right? Like, he's never had this type of volume on a week-to-week basis. I think that could be interesting. And then can we find a value guy at 3,700 or below? Oh, Brandon LaFell. God damn it. I trapped myself, chat. I totally trapped myself. All right, so that's my first look. Okay, that's not a bad first look lineup. I think we're getting a ton of volume. We're getting a ton of targets from our wide receivers. We got touchdown upside, deep touchdown upside in Jackson and Jeffrey. LaFell, I don't love having LaFell there. Maybe some value will open up, but again, Don't need all that much from him, 9-10 points, and he's kind of been in that range for the past 2 weeks with all the injuries that they have to their passing game. Jack Doyle's been doing fine for us. We get Zeke Elliott, Mark Ingram, two of the most voluminous running backs on the week. Thompson gives us some value. As long as he's still the starter, getting 15 carries and 5+ targets. 3K defense, fine. Buffalo, I don't care. We'll find a defense to plug in with that. And Andy Dalton, our cheap quarterback, against Indianapolis. This is going to change. Do not plug this lineup in and say this is the lineup that Smizzle told me to play, and now I lost all the money this week. This is my first glance lineup. This is where I start from. I have not done any research yet this week. Tuesday is my research day, and I frame the article. Wednesday, I write my article. Thursday, the article comes out. It's content day for me. Start the day with the Best Buys article, the Fantasy Focus 06010 on ESPN. Then we go to the DFS Edge, tape that next. Then the Fantasy Forecast with Anita Marks that comes out later that day. So all the content comes out on Thursdays from me. Then we get to it right here with you once again on Twitch with the Q&A every Friday. Subscribers only, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Noon Pacific Time. I will take your questions for 1 hour after you've digested all the content that we put out, after you've done your research to help you build your lineups. Then we'll be back on Sunday morning, the 30 or 45 minutes right before lock, after I'm finished making my lineups. The Anti-Tinkercast isn't so much for you guys to not tinker, it's me. It's my selfish way of keeping myself from tinkering with my lineup so that I've made my work. I've done my work that starts today on Monday. My process goes 6 days until Sunday morning, just after inactives lock. That's when I set my lineups and I forget them. After I'm done with everything, I don't want to mess with stuff and second guess. So I jump right in here on Twitch and log in and talk to all the subs. All the way up until lock, taking your questions, 1v1s, 2v2s, strategy questions. Is this guy GPP? Is this guy cash game eligible or viable for today? And we'll do that, and then we'll rinse and repeat every Monday with the recap show right here on twitch.tv. So thank you guys for joining me. We'll see you later in the week. Make sure you get all that content in, and don't trust this lineup. This is just a first glance. Do your research first. Do not plug and play. Catch you guys later. Bye.